Welcome to the 12th chapter of the book of First Chronicles. The force gathers with David in Ziklag. These are the ones coming to David in Ziklag, while banding together from the face of Saul, son of Kish. So we're going back in time to when David was fleeing from Saul, and towards the end of the period of Saul, when he gets killed right before Gilboa, Mount Gilboa, which we went through in a couple of chapters back. Ziklag, nobody really knows for sure where it's at except for the description that we have in 1 Samuel chapters 27 and 28, where it talks about David fleeing Saul, and he went to Ziklag, which is by Gath, which is no longer a viable city. There's a tell that they believe, a tell is a ruin that they believe was Gath, but it was definitely down in Philistia, down towards the Mediterranean, where the Palestinians are on the Gaza Strip, that down towards that. And David had fled from Saul, and he went to Gath, and the king there was Achish, and he told Achish that he was down in Ziklag fighting against Saul, where in reality he was actually marauding the Philistines and killing everybody in the town so nobody would tell Achish. And then finally, when Saul and Jonathan and Judah went to war against the Philistines at Mount Gilboa, then the Philistines didn't want anything to do with David being with Achish, and Achish had to tell them that, they did a good job, but you're can't go with us because the rest of the Philistines don't trust you, basically. So David and his marauders went back to Ziklag, and Ziklag had been marauded itself by people coming from another area, I think it was from the south, and took captive all the people in Ziklag, the wives and children and everything. And when they found out, all the men cried, but then they went together with David and chased after and met up with this band of marauders and wiped them all out. And David was able to acquire a vast amount of wealth from that marauding and sent it all through Judah, which I've mentioned, which made him a popular man. So that's basically what it's talking about here in this time, and the people with him. And they are among the mighty ones helping in polemics, and using the bow at the right hands and from out of the left hands, and slingers with stones and with arrows and bow. They were from out of the brothers of Saul, from out of Benjamin. So some of the people that went with David were from Saul. The ruler was Ahiezer, and Joas, the son of Azmah, the Gavaathi, and Eziel, and Phalet, sons of Azmoth, and Barakiah, and Iu, the Anathothi, and Sameas, the Gavaonites, mighty among the 30. And over the 30, Jeremias, and Iaziel, and Imnan, and Eozavad, and Gadi-Rothi, and this is not the prophet Jeremiah, Eliozi, and Earimuth, and Vaaliah, and Saraias, and Saphatias, the Harathi. These or fees become ite in English. Elkanah, and Easiah, and Azareel, and Eoazar, and Esvaam, the Korite, and Eoilah, and Zavadiah, sons of Eroam, sons of Gedor, and from the Gadi were separated these were separated to David unto the wilderness, mighty men, strong men for war. Erimu, we have hermit, comes from that word. They were deploying shield and spear, and their faces were as lions, and they were light as does upon the mountains, going quickly and marauding. Ezra the ruler, Abdiah the second of Terus, Eliab the Tritos, Masmanah the fourth, Eramias the fifth, Ethai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Ioanan the eighth, Elsavad the ninth, Eramias the decatos, we have a decade, 10, Machavani the 11th. These were from out of the sons of Gad. Rulers of the strategy, military. Strategy is a derivative. 1 to the 100, the small and the great, the 1,000. These are the ones passing over the Jordan in the first month, and this is apparently where many of the forces of David were east of the Jordan. And it was filled over all its bank. And they drove out all the ones dwelling in the canyons to the east and to the west. And some came from the sons of Benjamin and Judah to help David from Saul's area. And David came forth to meet them. And he answered. And he said to them, if in peace you have come to help me, may it be to me a heart with you for uniting. But if to deliver me up to my enemies, not in truth of hand, may the God of our fathers see it and reprove. Now I have this dagger here, so you go down to 17, and it says that is untrustworthy, where it had that in hand. And so now these people are coming, and David's not really sure if they're going to be for him or against him. I see things like that, parallels to that today. The large church I went to in Southern California about 30 years ago, they have a man that went there and was going to do all sorts of wonderful things, and somehow he took the church for like $100,000 from their treasury. Satan will send people in disguise as sheep's, as wolves among the sheeps. And you won't really know. These people sound like they're all for you and what you're doing, but they're not. They're there to do damage or to take things for themselves, being selfish when they see the opportunity, or just to waste your time and talking to you. And the pastor, he did counseling and all the pastors at the church for quite a few years, and he took this one man under his hand to counsel. And after the year, the man said, Chuck, you've been counseling me for a year now, and I don't think I'm any better off now than I was when I began. So he went back to the church and he told all the pastors, we're out of the counseling business. No more counseling. All we're going to do is pray for people and let God do the counseling and the word of God. So, coming and wasting his time. And I have that, people that have certain things that they want from me, and I question the validity of what they're looking for, if it's something for themselves or it's something of God. Maybe not necessarily to hurt me, but just to, basically it could be a waste of time. Discernment, one way of finding out, praying, and looking at the works, how fruitful they are. I've known people that are really on fire for the Lord, but everything they did for the Lord supposedly failed. So I look at the fruit and it's like, wow, how can anybody be doing things for the Lord and fail in so many places? Well, they could be doing it for themselves. A lot of people want to do things for themselves that they think they're doing for the Lord. They want to go in the mission field. God has called me to the mission field. Oh, really? Well, that's wonderful. Where are you going up to North Dakota to people up there, or someplace dangerous? Oh no, the Lord called us to Hawaii. Well, yeah. But I've known people that have went in the mission field and suffered a lot for doing that. And sometimes maybe they're not being called by God, and the suffering is because of not doing what God really wanted them to do in their life. I have a friend that questions God not using the person, and I question it. Well, I see a lot of places where that person could be useful, but basically has ignored them to do what that person wanted. So therefore, it's not a valid thing if you wanted God to use you, but you want it to be in your control, more or less. So all these things, then David is looking now at these people, but it says here, and David favorably received them and placed them as archontas, that should have been highlighted, of the dynamite, forces, power. And some from Manasseh joined with David in the coming of the Philistines against Saul for war. Now, I believe that the Manasseh is also an area, it's not necessarily the tribe. Could be people that aren't even Jews that came to help. And David did not help them, for in counsel it came to pass from the strategon, strategy, derivative of the Philistines, saying, with our heads he will return to his master Saul. So it's talking about these Palestinian rulers that didn't want David to go with them. And so I think here it was talking about some from Manasseh are not Jews, but they're from that area. And the Philistines, I said Palestinians, I meant Philistines. Today they're Palestinians, and it comes from the same word. They sent him away. And in David going to Ziklag, some joined him from Manasseh. Now these are Jews, I would imagine. And this is when he went back to Ziklag, apparently before he found out it had been taken. Ednah and Eozavad and Eel and Mikael and Eozavad and Eliu and Selathi, Archi, chiefs of the thousands of Manasseh. That probably should have been highlighted. And they fought along with David against the troop. This is Gedor is a Hebrew word, means a troop. For they were almighty in strength and were igumeni, hegemons, leaders in the stratia, in the dynami, military, the force. For at that time, day by day, they came to David to help him, as far a great camp, as the camp of God. And these are the names of the rulers of the military coming to David in Hebron. He's not in Jerusalem yet. To turn the kingdom of Saul to him, according to the word of the Lord. The sons of Judah, bearing an oblong shield and spear, 6,800 mighty ones for battle array. Of the sons of Simeon, mighty ones in strength for battle array, 7,100. Of the sons of Levi, 4,600. And Eudae, the Igumenos, leader, hegemon, to Aaron, apparently the Jews there, and with him 3,700. And Zadok, a young man, mighty in strength, of the house of his father, 22 rulers. Zadok mentioned later when he went across the Jordan with David when he was fleeing Absalom. I imagine it's the same one. And from out of the sons of Benjamin, of the brothers of Saul, Adelphon, Tri, 3,000, and yet most of them kept the guard of the house of Saul. Most of them stayed with him. That is, with him being Saul. And from the sons of Ephraim, 20,800 mighty men, mighty in strength, famous men. There I have that highlighted. Onomasti. Remember Onoma? Three or four chapters back. The names. The name here is we have Onoma. So they're named people according to the houses of their patrion families. And from the half, Emisus, tribe of Manasseh, Hemi. Men that know a little bit about mechanics know about a Hemi head in an automobile engine. 18,000 being named by name. Onomasthentes is a verb by name. To come, to give rain. Vasilevse, to give rain, the verb of Vasilev. Vasilevs is a king. To David, give rain to David. And from the sons of Issachar, ones perceiving with understanding concerning the times, knowing what Israel shall do in their companies, 200, and all their brothers with them. And of Zavulon, going forth into the battle array for war, with all the weapons for polymikis, warfare here, 50,000 to help David, nor with heart and heart. Now we'll look and see that's 1233. So here it says, not double-hearted. And from Naphtali, 1,000 archontes, and with them with shields and spears, 30 and 7,000. And from the Daniton, being deployed for Polemon war, 28,600. And from Asir, ones going forth to help in war, 40,000. And from the other side of the Jordan, from Reuben and the Gadites, that's the eastern side of the Jordan, and from the half-tribe of Manasseh, which was split up in both sides, all with weapons for warfare, both sides of the Jordan. They were over towards the middle of the country of the proper Israel proper, and then they were also over in Gilead on the eastern side of the Jordan. They're all with weapons for polymikis, warfare, in the force, 120,000. All these men were warriors being deployed in battle array, but they came with a peaceful soul unto Hebron to give rain to David over all Israel. And the rest of Israel was one soul, Psyche, to give rain to David. And they were there with David 3 days, eating and drinking, for their brothers made preparations for them. It reminds me of the movie Lawrence of Arabia, where he was in this area, and these people and these tribes would all get together and feast, and the rulers would get together in a big tent and talk and everything, make plans. I see that when I see this part. And the ones adjoining them near Issachar and Zavulon and Naphtali brought to them upon the donkeys and upon the camelon, camel, transliteration, and upon the mules and upon the calves, foods, flour, dried clusters of figs, dried grapes as raisins, wine, olive oil, calves, meat, and sheep in multitude, for gladness was in Israel. Chapter 13, our next video seminar, we will go into where now I believe David is in Jerusalem, and we'll find out about what happens here, the transferring the Ark of the Covenant. Hope you'll join us in next chapter. Until then, God bless.